So, hey guys, Chauzu here. So in today's video I want to talk about a touchy subject, something we don't like to talk about a lot in YouTube videos, but in the past I've covered it several times. I've covered potential cheaters from several alliances and several ways of cheating. We're talking straight up modding the game, we're talking sharing account, and I'm not okay with any of that. And this time we're going to talk about what Bandai describes as unfair conduct. This is taken straight from the game, and the main point I want to point out here is the last one, which is consulting with multiple account holders to rig the outcomes of competitive content in favor of a certain account. Like, that text is so specific. It feels like that text was created for what I'm going to talk about in this video. But before I do that, I do want to give some backstory to all of this. So I'm going to talk about an alliance here. It's going to be Assault Force, which is the by far most successful alliance in One Piece Treasure Cruise. And there's really no competition there. They've achieved the most of anything. They're the favorite to win basically any event we get. They win most events, and almost all of the time they do win fair and square. It doesn't mean that they are very popular amongst other competitive alliances. You can call it jealousy or whatever. I will just personally say that I think that a lot of the members of this alliance are what is best to be described as pricks. That's the nice word I'd use. So just to be fully transparent, I'm not a fan of this alliance, but yeah, it's up to you to believe that if that affects the content of this video I'd make. I will say that if we had the same info about another alliance that was very big, I'd also do it, but you're free to believe if that is the case or not. And I will say that the reason I've not talked a lot about cheating recently is mainly because my channel has become pretty big. Before it was very small. I could talk about it, I didn't really have to think about consequences, but now, for example, a few months ago, I was like 99% sure we had a top 10 account in Treasure Map that was a clear cheater in my head, like 99% sure. And I could have made a video about that, but I felt like that's not a good way to use this YouTube account. It's better to highlight actual significant cases. And now we're talking about the biggest alliance on global. I think that's pretty fair game. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to talk about basically multiple accounts coming together to rig an event. And by rigging, like, it can be many ways. It can be cheating everything, but that's not what I'm saying. Like, for example, in this event, Assault Force will get #1 worldwide as an alliance, which is an incredible achievement. They've gone hard. It's a very well-deserved accomplishment, and honestly, they've helped me a lot as well, because for most of the time, they've had 3 defense teams put up. So I've been able to farm and farm and farm. I ended up getting like 350 wins in a row. So I'm very grateful for that. But like, cheating doesn't have to be big to be decisive, especially when it's tight. I'm going to give a personal anecdote, because we've had a lot of anecdotes about this happening, but this is the first time someone has bothered to gather evidence. But I have a personal anecdote. It's about the same alliance. It's also Pyro Rumble, but it's not about first place. It's about 10th place. I'm sure a lot of you remember that I'm pretty good at getting 10th place. And we discussed that. It's mainly because ranking OPTC doesn't like you sleeping on the final day if you're a European. And I do like to sleep, so that often results in me getting 11th. But with that said, what happened was that I was 11th and a user from AF was 10th. I honestly don't remember who it was, just that it was an AF member. And for 2 hours, like, it was a few hours left of the event, and for 2 hours we grinded. we were right next to each other. I checked maybe every 30 minutes how it's going, and always it was like I was ahead a bit, he was ahead a bit, we traded. It was honestly super exciting. I was like, who is going to win this? But then suddenly, when I checked, he was like almost 200 points ahead of me. And this might not sound like a big deal, but it's a big deal because like often when you grind and basically you can both beat the teams ahead of you, you have equally fast teams, then there really won't be a lot of deviation. Like maybe you lose sometimes, but the opponent will also lose. Eventually it will add up. So like if I had lost a lot and checked, I would have been prepared for, okay, he's going to be a lot ahead of me. But I knew I've been playing well. I was like, okay, is he ahead? Am I ahead? No, he was way ahead. And of course, I bring this up with fellow Alliance members and also other Alliance members, like, how could this happen? And then people started sharing their own anecdotes that, oh, that's happened to me before. AF likes to give away free defense wins to each other. But it's not like they do it all the time. That would be dumb. But in the pivotal moments, like when the season is almost over, if one of their members need a little push to secure an important position, such as 10th or 1st, then it's possible that they band together and push each other up. So that happened to me, and I was certain back then that is what happened, but I didn't talk about it, didn't make a video about it. So this is basically something that top alliances have been aware of. But the thing is that if people are aware of it, eventually someone is going to try and get receipts. Not me, because even if I don't like cheating, it's not like I'm going to spend an hour checking accounts on the ranking to see how it goes. But my friend Aaron did that from Lovetail, another top alliance. And I get along well with the LT guys, so I hang out in their Discord. And yeah, we have 2 examples here. We have 4 members from Assault Force, and you see that we have timestamps for every photo, courtesy of Aaron. And basically, I'm not going to linger too much on the photos. These are just going to be mainly like a supporting evidence, like basically show that there are receipts. If you care about the receipt, just look at them. But the main thing, if you look mainly at how, Skur, and Among, you will see over time a decrease in points. And this is irregular, sure. If you look at any point in time, you might see a decrease sometime because inevitably people lose. But losing consistently isn't really a thing, especially late in events, because usually if you play farm hard very late in an event, it's either because 1, you can get a big ranking like 10th, or 2, because there are easy teams. At this point in time, there were no easy teams, which means it is easier to lose. Like, that's a fact. It is easier to lose when there are good teams. But then it will be like, it's not worth it. I don't play. I'm happy with my ranking. I can't get 10th. But you see here with just a little bit to go, they do continue playing and consistently decreasing points. I will say that the user 6 Eyes, I think that's Buddha's noob, it doesn't decrease in a super unnatural way. Like, it's pretty weird, but not as clear cut as the others. He goes up again sometimes. So if this was just him, no way I can make this video, but we have 3 other very clear people where it's clear that they keep losing. And then the question is, like, why are they losing? And as you know, the thesis here is that they wanted a certain account to win. And that account in this case happened to be Notorious. And this is not meant to be an attack on him as a person. It could have been another one, could have been like any of the other 3 I mentioned, could have been someone like Rizzi always ranks well in AF, for example. It could have been anyone who is number 1. Now it happened to be him. But the key thing is that there is an AF member at number 1 there. And the question is why. And I want to say that it's not an undeserved number 1. He could have easily won without any help from his alliance, but it could have been any of the other two Koreans. My alliance I have an alliance member called LS, who is also in top 10. With a few hours left, he was also competing for number 1. And you need to remember that when you are number 1 in PvP, which I've done, so I actually have experience to talk about this, it is incredibly hard to gain a lead, because when you are number 1, you don't reliably find anyone with good points. You have to refresh. And if you finally find maybe number 2, number 3, like only number 10 will give any real points. At least that was the case when I got number 1. And then you have to beat them. But of course, if they do good teams, it's hard to beat. But if you go to number 2 and number 3, if it's tight, the thing is that every 3rd battle, every 3 battles, number 2 is guaranteed to find number 1. So that means number 2 has a small advantage in that he can find number 1. He doesn't have to look as long. He has to look long for his other 2 battles, but number 1 has to look hard every single time. And then we go to number 3. He can find 2 guaranteed ones. Then he has to look for 1. So basically the whole system is designed so if it is tight in the top, number 1 won't run away. You will trade. And it was very even. I did check it. I didn't take any pictures. I'm sure someone did. But the thing is that a gap happened, and you see it's not a big gap. It doesn't look like a big gap, but this is an enormous gap, because this gap can't really be caught up naturally, at least not in a short time span. You need to remember that at the end of the event, these people at the top, they are mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. Any setback can kill momentum, can kill motivation, can make them give up. And I say that this is what happened here. They are back to back. Suddenly, AF decide that we're going to push our guy up as number 1, give him a lead. And then naturally, it just dies, because number 2 and number 3 and number 4, number 5 realizes, okay, I'm realistically not going to catch up, so I will just stop playing. I will save the games. So that's why, I want to say again, full credit for most of the performance. We're talking 99% plus, like the majority of this from every AF member is legit. But basically, we talk about soccer or my own football, like if you have a goal line, the ball is almost in. If someone runs in from the bench and kicks it in, that's not okay either. That would also be cheating. So this is giving that extra little push to get the result you want. And in the end, this just keeps building the myth of AF that they don't really need to build. Everybody knows they are the best. They don't need to try and keep letting more of their own people guarantee a win and such. And I do realize that many people won't care about this, especially since number 2 and number 3, who are they? Some random Korean whale, who cares? And I feel the same. I don't really care if Notorious won or a Korean whale won. But sometimes this might not be a whale. In the pictures here, we have one of my own crewmates, for example, or alliance members, Garens. He's fully free to play, at least as I know. He's able to rank high, but he can't do it all the time. He only does it for special occasions, basically. So basically, willing to suck for free to play to be in the same position, but some whale from a big alliance to secure number 1 by what one they call unfair conduct. That's basically my main point here. And I think I'll end with the video by saying that I know some people will probably try and call myself out. That's perfectly fine. In the end, what is cheating and what is abuse is very much open to subjectivity. Personally, for me personally, it's when you use some kind of external means to mainly influence competitive events. So you all know I can abuse mechanics in, say, Grand Voyage with the bug stall. You know I've abused Sugofest that have had issues. All of that could be classified as unfair conduct from some people, but at least I'm open with it. You are free to judge me from my actions. I don't hide anything, but this is something done in the shadows, and I don't think it should be in the shadows. I think the majority of the player base deserve to know that some people actually do this in power rumble rankings. And if you care or not, if you think it's cheating or not, if you think it's relevant or not, in the end, that's up to you. Because most likely Bandai won't do anything about this. It's global. They only care if JP is affected by ranking events. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments about this. See ya. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.